What if the breakdown was actually the beginning? When Steph Belsky hit rock bottom, battling a mental health collapse and hospitalization, and it looked like the end, what came next wasn't defeat, it was rebirth. In this episode, she shares how losing everything she thought defined herself really forced her to build a life and a business rooted in truth, power, and peace. And you can do the same thing. It's so beautiful to see her gifts with her human design chart come out too and help her along the journey, but also take her gifts to the next level and allow her gifts to help her in her growth personally and professionally. So I'm so excited that we're going to dive into our peace power up. Okay. I know. You're doing something, right? As I do too when I listen to podcasts, I'm doing things. But I want you just for 2 minutes, just take 2 minutes to take a break with me, to reset your body, to allow peace to power you through this next part of your day. So if you're in a sitting down position, you can close your eyes. If not, just keep going, doing what you're doing. And I just want you to listen. Let's take a moment to come back to ourselves. Place your hand on your heart and then one on your belly. Now imagine yourself in a moment where everything feels too heavy. Whatever you're going through, whatever struggle that is. Take a deep breath, and as you breathe, I want you to feel all the edges release. Bring softness into those edges. Feel that gentle pressure on your heart and your stomach. I want you to think of this hard situation that you're going through, this changes, this difficult struggle. And I want you to return empathy for that. How we return empathy is we allow ourselves to celebrate what we're doing, who we're being, how we're showing up in simple ways. Proving to ourselves that we're resilient, honoring ourselves in the struggle. What's that thing that you can celebrate? I want you to feel that energy of celebration and allow it to take more space in your body. Imagine it like a ball of light. What color is it? And as you inhale and exhale, I want you to imagine that light getting bigger and bigger and bigger with each passing moment. Feel that celebration go to all those edges of your body. Feel it taking over the joy, the peace, the love for yourself. Celebrating that very moment. And as you take another deep breath, exhale. And you can put your hands in your lap. I want you to feel something that's around you, whether it's the surface of the table or if it's your clothing or whatever it is around you. Feel that. Really lean into the texture. What does that texture feel like? What's going on inside of you? Zone in on that moment. And when you're ready, come back to this space, open your eyes. Good work. Oh, that feels so good. Something that I've been silently struggling with is just having my MS flare up. Beckham, our youngest, graduated high school, and He's our youngest out of 4. And so I've graduated a lot of kids from high school, but this one has been challenging. I have felt the emotions up and down, and I know that like my kids will always be there and that I will serve and love them and support them. And no matter what is happening, no matter what they're going through, that is my job, is to love and to support and to serve. And it just feels like this new territory, and I just didn't realize all the emotions that would come up with it. And when I have lots of heavy emotions, my MS flares up, and so I just get to be more tired than I normally have been. And so I've been feeling all these feels, and part of me has been so frustrated because I have this beautiful course, and I'm going to be launching an app and all these things and all these grand plans, and I've had to take it a lot slower. And my mind has been just a mess with like, why do you have to take so long doing things? Oh, maybe because you have these challenges, you're not going to be able to do the thing. That comes back to me over and over and over again. It's like a flag that I like to raise high, but I've been telling myself I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be good enough. And that's what this beautiful episode is all about. Steph dives into her experience with mental health. She in the entertainment industry and for nonprofits and celebrity talent, in fundraising and community building initiatives, and with Fortune 500 companies to develop branded content campaigns. She is the founder of The Love of Good, which is a social impact agency. I can't wait for you to hear her story, and I can't wait for you to jump into this episode. All right, I'll see you inside the episode. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me, Courtney. This is such a pleasure. I am so excited to be here with you, truly.
I'm so excited. I'm very impressed because I know you're moving next week. And I'm like, how is this girl brushing her hair? How has your bipolar diagnosis affected your ability to build your business and expand your business? So you're in this social media for social impact world. And that can take a lot out of people. You know, there's a lot of like energies back and forth. Well, and expanding and building businesses of any kind takes a lot. How have you like navigated that, your mental health?
Interesting because for a long time, my business was not sustainable. And there have been a lot of fits and starts to my entrepreneurship journey. And part of that was that I didn't believe in myself enough to step into that leadership role. I saw on LinkedIn the other day, I think it was my friend Emily Paulson, but somebody had posted that that there's a real shift in mindset between working for yourself and being a founder. And until you're ready to step into that, like, I didn't understand the founder's mindset. I thought, I have an LLC, I pay taxes on it, therefore, I must be a founder. But the reality was, I was doing work for other people because I knew I had to pay my bills. I knew I had to, and I did rebuild my business from scratch after I got sick. But then I also was really scared to jump into it fully because of what had happened. And so I ended up taking a lot, like I worked for Entrepreneur Magazine for 2 years. I worked with clients like FanDuel. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to put the like love of good stuff on the back burner and just jump right back into corporate and to doing this work because I missed marketing. I missed the communications work. I like for these clients and I loved it and I was really good at it. And I was like, okay, great. I can do this, fine. But there was always kind of a nagging voice in my head. And because so much of my career has also been entwined with my mental health journey, which is wild to think about, but it's true. And so anyway, when I got out of the hospital, I did an inpatient program in Hartford, Connecticut, right? And then my family begged me to move back to Hartford. And I was like, I don't know. There's I don't think I'm done with Los Angeles yet. I think I want to move back. And so they were amazing and scraped enough money together that I could pay rent. And like, I'm forever grateful to my family for always supporting me and loving me, especially when it's the hardest. But so anyway, I went back to LA, and my family said, like, we're getting rent together for you, but you have to get a job. And that's totally fair and understandable. I saw that one of the nonprofits that I had volunteered with years before, called Right Girl, was actually looking for an event assistant. And I was like, well, I have an events production background. Like I could be an event assistant, like somebody telling me what to do and just showing up part-time. Like, this is great. This is the perfect foray back into whatever world I'm about to get into. Within like 3 months of me being like the number one event assistant, the events manager quit. And so she left and got another job. And Right Girl asked me, they were like, do you think you want this position? Like, we've been, and so I jumped in feet first, and I was like, okay, great. Like, let's do this. That was really the stepping stone to leading me back to love of good, and to understanding the skill set that I had, and remembering who the hell I was. Because after something like this happens, everything that you thought you knew about yourself kind of falls apart. And so you have to build it back from scratch, and it's built back stronger and better as a result of it, but you're still rebuilding. So being
Yeah.
an events producer. Yeah.
And do you feel like now, with balancing your mental health and building a business, what have you noticed that has really helped you as you're doing that? Because so many, I mean, like, everybody has those moments that we talk about, burnout and overwhelm, but there's all those emotional illnesses that are just like physical illnesses that need to be taken care of. And it's just as hard for me with MS to, like, I can't work full time, And so my business is in expansion, but it's in this flow, but it's not going to look like someone else's business who wakes up at 5 a.m. in the morning, Like, it's just, we work differently. So how have you supported both of those things? Because I think sometimes we think it's got to be one or the other, but it has to be together.
That resonates so deeply, Courtney. Yeah, it was so interesting. So I said to a girlfriend the other day, like, I've just been putting way too much pressure on myself. And in this season of about to be moving again, and of mother, like, I'm still postpartum. Like, I have a 16-month-old. And so talk about like needing to balance your mental health and everything that's going on. And so, like, what's feeling like ease to me right now is running my podcast, and thank God for my producer and co-host Alana, because it would have ceased to exist if she was not doing this with me. But Missed Opportunities for Good was the one, like, creative outlet that I kept doing throughout my maternity leave, whatever that looks like when you work for yourself. And in terms of love of good, like, my co-founder and I talked about it the other day, and I was like, what if we leaned into partnerships? Like, we've always built out strategic partnerships for our clients, but we've never really leaned into partnerships with other agencies or with PR firms or with financial institutions or any of that, lawyers. And so as soon as I said that, like, I actually hosted a workshop for Lauren Daniels' Scale School 2 weeks ago, and being in person with like 10 entrepreneurs who are so driven, so excited to be there, and like being able to teach them the love of good framework and be in person with them was such a gift, because I feel like everybody just wants to do virtual sessions and stuff like that. And it's like, there's something so magical about being in person that I had really missed out on. And I love teaching, I love coaching. And so that was something that really felt like ease to me and like flow. And so in this season of transition and change and everything, like, that's sort of the new approach for love of good, is is, and actually I have an offer, a VIP day that's exclusively for nonprofits that we're calling Empowered Communication. And it's with Melinda Jackson PR and Love of Good. And basically, like, Melinda came to me and was like, with everything that's happening in our world and our country right now, like nonprofits are losing their funding, like point blank. And I want to give back and I still want to make money. And this is your world. How do we do this? And so we put together this offer together, and it's really been so collaborative and so awesome. And, I told her, I was like, we're moving. Like, there's only so much heavy lifting I can do right now. So if you can spearhead this, like, I'll show up and I'll show up fully.
Yes.
But
Yes.
like, I am capped out. So yeah, that, like, taking that pressure off of myself, giving up some of that ownership, and like, for so long I had held Love of Good so close to my chest. And so opening that up and saying, like, no, this is a collaborative project.
Yes.
And I want to create and I want to produce. And also, like you said, I know I have limited capacity. And my co-founder of my company, she also has MS. And so the two of us, like, and we get a lot of shit done. Like, don't get me wrong. We really know how to get things done. And like, if we can take a little bit of that pressure off of ourselves, I think that's just a good life lesson in general. But that's kind of where I'm targeting and aiming for with Love of Good right now.
And I really I think when the pressure is, we think about, oh, pressure is good, pressure is awesome. It helps us to do things to a point, but there's that pressure where it becomes a heavy darkness, the pressure where we're feeling like we're failing, or we're like shaming ourselves for not overproducing or doing all these things, and that's where we can really take insight and say, you know what, this is too much. What can I do to take the edges off? What can I do? And I love that you explored that. And that's like the beauty that we get to do, is explore things. Well, and on your human design, like, your chart is crazy good. Oh my gosh, Steph, it's freaking awesome. I was dying. So as your human design type is a manifesting generator.
Yeah.
And so your mantra is, I'm a multi-passionate force of momentum and magic. So you're designed to move quickly, to explore. And what others call too much, you embody as a creative power. Literally. And your pivots and breakdowns are activators. They're not detours.
Yeah.
So pivoting is a part of your magic.
I love that.
Yeah. How have you seen pivoting been helpful to your business?
It's so interesting you say that, Courtney. So, like, I mean, like, Missed Opportunities for Good, our podcast, brings me so much joy. It's so fun. And my co-host is incredible. And so that was a huge pivot. We started it 2 years ago, and it just feels like now it's starting to get traction. And we've had incredible, like, the guests that we've been able to bring on, I thought were untouchables. And it turns out, when you open up space to have conversations that are not being had, especially when it comes to sustainability, when it comes to DE&I, when it comes to all the things that nobody's supposed to be doing right now, I say that in jest, and especially in the advertising industry, especially in the creative industries, so many people want to give back. They either don't know how, they don't have the time, or because of their day job, like they can't, because that is not incorporated into what they do on a daily basis. And I think we're starting to see that shift happening organically. But, sometimes it sucks to be a visionary, because I had this idea back in 2008. And now, like, of course, like, during the pandemic, I saw my business model everywhere. But to get back to the idea of these pivots, and I love that as activators, because I really like. I said to my husband the other day, I was like, I want to fall back in love with love of good. This was my
Oh,
first baby. This was my first business. And like, it needs to transform. It needs to change. It needs to be whatever it's going to be. And I really think that that is part of this transition, is that the company is also transitioning and changing. And in it,
yeah.
so yeah.
And the beauty of that is like that takes flexibility, you know, that takes like some sort of resilience. And it also
Oh,
takes like
a lot of
what other
resilience.
people, yes, what other people are like, just stick with this one thing, as you know, just keep trying, just
Yeah.
keep going at it.
Yeah.
As an MG, you're not designed to do the flow that way. You're designed to be like, I grab this one thing, learning here. Now I'm bouncing to this next thing. The bounce
Yeah.
is where you're so good at. And part of this is on your human design chart, there's this part that helps you to make decisions best. And it's called inner authority.
Yeah.
Now, your inner authority is your gut, is
I
your
was going to say, it's all
sacral.
right here.
Yes. Yes, it's right there. And your mantra is, I can trust my gut to guide me.
Mm,
So your gut instincts are your compass. In overwhelm or uncertainty, you can feel, is this a yes or is this a no? And that is your truth. So when listening to your gut, you're returning to your power, you're returning to your clarity. Have you always listened to your gut, or has this been
no,
hard to, okay.
for way
Yeah.
too long, I did
Okay.
not. I did not. And every time I did not, it
Yeah.
always backfired. And it took me
Oh,
probably at least 25 years
yes.
to recognize, if not more, to recognize that that is entirely my guiding system and my inner compass.
Mm.
It's right in my gut. And I even had like not full on eating disorder, but I did struggle for a while with like food and that relationship with my gut. And so it comes to no surprise to me, and also like information I could have used so long ago. But yeah, it's that is so spot on. So spot
Oh
on.
my goodness. So, what does your gut feel like when it's a yes? Because I think this is hard. Like, we look at, especially in the female founder space or founders of any kind,
Yeah.
business, whatever, big corporates, they're like, hey, we're looking at a spreadsheet here and this is telling us to do this, you know? But but our best decisions are not based on a spreadsheet. You know, they're
Right.
informative, but our best decisions, your best decisions come from your gut.
Yeah.
So, what does that feel like when it's like a yes, you need to do this?
I can't even explain it. It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you? But yeah, I can tell you when it's a no, I overthink. And
Ooh.
I overthink to the point of, which is funny because if I had my human design chart read a couple of years ago, but if I recall, I have like nothing up here. It's like empty.
Yeah.
Which is,
Yes.
obviously not empty, but there is something so unique about like how I get triggered almost. And then I know as soon as this starts going into like overdrive,
Yes.
that it's a no. That it's a no.
That's really brilliant because, well, so you're talking about your centers, your head's crown
Right.
center,
Yeah.
your ajna, which is the top two centers, and those are undefined. So they're colored in white, which means you're connected to people and you get everybody's thoughts and you get inspiration and points of view from all sorts of people.
Yeah,
And
that
when we're
matters.
trying to make a decision, yeah, like that is clutter, that's clutter. And so
Mm,
it can spark unique ways of thinking,
yeah.
but the truest decision always comes from inside of you, not from an external source. So, yeah. And then also on your chart, so when we're looking at all those centers, the one that's colored in green, the ones that are defined, that you always have these gifts all the time, you have this other one that is your GPS center. And this mantra is where I'm going.
Oh,
Yeah. You have this like automatic direction inside of you that's deeply rooted. Even in grief or chaos, your
Wow.
internal compass is strong, and you don't need to chase clarity because it lives inside of you.
Mm.
How has this guided you in this sense of direction, especially during times of pressure
Mm.
or self-doubt?
My inner
Or has it been a
compass.
struggle?
I think it's
You
really
know?
been a struggle
Yeah.
because not because like the only constant in anyone
Yes.
in our lives is change, right?
Yes.
And especially when you are an entrepreneur, when you are married to a rabbi, like we go where the communities are that need us, that want us to be there, that like, you know, the community that we're moving to next week, can't believe it's next week. The president of the synagogue said like Jeff is the rabbi that we need right now. And so like who knows, we'll absolutely fall in love and like be there for a very long time, but either way, like I do feel like there is that movement happening like within me of like, okay, like this is what we're doing next. And like I actually said to somebody the other day, like anytime I've moved from a different place, like I've lived in New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and Detroit and Metro Detroit and soon to be Poughkeepsie, New York. And I know it's so full circle, it's wild.
Yes.
But anytime I move, it's like
Yes.
getting towards the end, I always feel like, okay, and now it's time. Like I get it. And now it's time to go on to the next chapter. And I haven't felt that yet with Michigan. And so who knows? Like maybe there is part of us that is like a lot of people come back to Michigan after they've lived here. So
Yes.
who knows? At some point, maybe we'll come back because maybe energetically we're just not done yet. But that's so fascinating about the inner compass. I love that.
Yeah, and
The
it's
inner
real. I
GPS.
have this. Yeah, I have this
Especially
inner
because
too,
I
and
have
when
a
I
terrible
first.
sense of direction.
Yes, yes, right. You're like, oh my goodness. And I had to learn like with a lot of these gifts too.
Yeah.
When I found out like I have this GPS, when I found out I had the gift of communication, I was like,
Yeah.
wait a second, I don't think so. I'm not good at that stuff. And then I started to retrain my brain, and I thought, well,
Yeah.
okay, what if this is true? What if this is true? Why don't you just play around with it and ease into it and just like
Yeah.
have fun with this gift and see where it takes you? And as
Yeah.
I've done that, I was like, this actually feels like flow, you know?
Right.
Like I can like open up to things if I come at it with a place of peace.
Yes.
And with a place of play.
Yes.
And just enjoy the process of it, because just like anything, it's a muscle that develops. Like we go to the gym to develop a muscle, right?
Right.
We get to develop ourselves, and our gifts as the same thing too.
I
So
love that, Courtney.
yeah, we get to just play. So another on your chart I totally could not miss is you have a channel. Now channels are those lines on a human design chart, and they're colored in, and they go from one center to the nether center. So from two green centers.
Okay.
And so you have channel 1034, and this mantra is, my charisma powerfully attracts and affects others with light and love.
Ooh.
I know.
Oh, that's fun.
I know this channel really is about radiating inspiration to others, being able to influence them, not in a way that's like weird energy, but in a way that's full of light and love and real caring, a real soul that people can come into your presence and can tell right away, oh my goodness, Steph is someone I want to be around. You just powerfully attract people with this light and love that just brings in this essence. And from there, like it also allows you to develop connections with others personally, professionally.
Yeah.
How has this ability helped you as a business strategy, really?
Great question.
Yeah.
Because it really has. And it's so funny.
Yes.
My husband doesn't listen to every podcast that I'm on, but he's definitely going to listen to
Yes.
this one because he's always like, but you're already over there. You're like, oh, you're at G. I'm at A. Like, what is happening? Um,
That is so funny. I get that all the time. People are like, my husband needs to be in on this. So hilarious. I love
especially
it.
that trusting your intuition, trusting your gut.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, he's very supportive
Yes.
and wonderful, and we love him.
Yes.
But where was I going with that? Oh, right. But how it affects my business. So one of the
Yeah.
things he
That
always
connection.
jokes with me about is he's like you blur the lines of professional and personal real hard. Like, he's like, I don't know what's considered to be professional or what. He's like, but sometimes with your clients, like you get really personal with them. And then with with like partners that you bring in, like, you know a lot about them. And I'm like, yeah, because I want to be able to support them as people and as a whole person, not just as their business, not just as, as a creator or as a brand or as a nonprofit. Like, in order for me to do my best work, and the reason why our campaigns work so well is because we really take the time to understand the alignment between a personal brand, a like sponsorship brand, and a nonprofit as a brand, which nonprofits do not think of themselves as brands. But that's how my brain works. And in order to understand all of that, all those moving parts and pieces, we have to know the stories behind all of this. We need to know, like, I want to see all of your messaging. I want to see what's been working, what's not. But like, I also want to know, like, do you have kids? Because I would like, if you tell me you can't come to a meeting because your kid's sick, like, great. I understand. I can appreciate that because I have kids. And like, so like, companies are just made of people, right? For some reason, we forget that. And a brand is made of a person. And like, an influencer is just so much more than talent. They're a whole ass person. So like, and thinking about an executive director of a nonprofit, right? And what they're going through and who they are and where they've been and like what gets them up in the morning. And like, this is blurring the lines of personal and professional, because when it comes to your values, yes, it's your company's values, but you're an extension of that. And so in thinking about like what is going to resonate, what messaging is going to work for all audiences, it's like, how can we add more empathy and find more human connection in something that does not usually get a human connection? So like, at the end of the day, that's all I'm trying to do here, is like bring more empathy and love and light and fun to marketing, because, like, a lot of people get a pit in their stomach when they think about sales, marketing, and PR, right? Anything that makes us visible, anything that makes us seen and heard. And you really have to do a lot of the inner work in order to be able to express that. And that's a reflection of my own personal journey. Like, I remember looking at my human design chart. It was like, oh, your money line is your voice. And I was like, no, I barely spoke until I was 16 years old. How could that be? And there was so much shame in my past and around my voice that I had to unlearn in order to be a podcast host, in order to do improv, in order to share my writing, which I absolutely love. That's one of the ways that I express myself, is through writing. And to know that like my voice is a part of that, and to be able to share like, okay, I did this inner work in order to be able to fully express myself now. And that's kind of what I do with my clients too. It's like, let's figure out the story that you've been telling yourself that you want to change, and let's reframe it and reclaim it And then let's tell the story that you want to tell the world. And in doing that, you're going to attract the people that you want to work with. You're going to attract the partner that you want. You're going to attract so much more out of your life, and it's good for your business. Like, and I feel like I'm actively on that journey right now. So thank you for giving me the space to share that.
Yeah. And it's the permission to lean into that. Like oftentimes I feel like what my human design chart has taught me is I thought I just did that. That was just what I do, you know,
Right.
like, you know, have charisma and light and love. But it's actually, I was like, wait, if I reframe that and think, wait, this is how I was born. This is what I was born to do. It takes on a whole nother meaning. And that flow and that manifesting all these things, those nuances come so quickly with it.
Yeah.
It's just really beautiful. Well, for all the listeners out there who are in the middle, who are with the silent struggle, whatever it is, health, finances, carrying all the weight of the world, and divorce, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What would you tell them when it comes to achieving big goals?
So first of all, like, do the work. Do the work on yourself first and foremost, because that is the greatest gift you will ever give yourself. And everything else kind of flows after that, right? There's a great I think it's Lucille Ball quote that's like, take care of yourself and the rest will follow. I'm totally mucking up the quote, but it's true. Like when I met my now husband, Jeff, like I had just done a whole relationship class with my co-founder. And it's funny. We had this aha moment the other day where I was like, wait a second, we actually like incorporate your relationship class into the work that we do with Love of God. Like it's called Love of Good for a reason. But the spoiler alert, sorry, Pauline, the spoiler alert about her course is that it's teaching you to fall in love with yourself. It's teaching you to understand who you are at your core, at your essence. And then from there, once you fully know and love yourself, then you can bring in all the money, all the partners, like, you know, people will be beating down your door because of how confident you are in who you are. And so in thinking about how that translates to the business, it's actually something that really makes us unique, and it's part of our framework. It's part of what we preach.
I love that empathy for ourselves, to really know that along the journey, we are doing the best that we can. And sometimes our best is going to be like this much, and sometimes our best is going to be this much. Right. But at any point, if we can be like, acknowledge and honor ourselves for that, those accomplishments, for doing the thing, for not like just going sitting in a corner or burning the whole thing down. I mean, that's really amazing, you know, that we just keep going and keep that resilience.
Yeah. And the number of times that I've thought about burning it all to it's like, but somehow there's always something that comes up that says like, no, you're not done with this yet. Like you need to keep going. And I think that that's like from a tangible standpoint, because I like action. I like being able to give actionable advice. Like in terms of reaching your goals, I've been working with who's also a client of mine, Dr. Becca Block, who is the founder of Spicy Brains Get Stuff Done. And as a spicy brain myself, she and I have been working together on her marketing, and also I'm in one of her. This is my second cohort actually of her Spicy Brains Get Stuff Done, and it's been so incredibly helpful to understand that. Like my brain works differently than most people's. I mean, if you identify as neurodivergent in any way, shape, or form, like your brain just works a little bit differently. And so being able to, like goals were always really challenging for me for a long time, because I was like, well, but that's so far away. And like, I want to do things now. And so being able to like look at it as a whole picture and, you know, start with the end in mind and all of that. But really like reverse engineering what I want has been extremely helpful. And it's always getting started. That's the hardest part. right? And so one of the things that Becca's taught me is like that you can actually think about the project. Like that visioning isn't just you sitting around twiddling your thumbs. It's actually creating this end result or some version of what you want that end result to be. And like, what does good enough look like at the end of the day? And again, can you take that pressure off of yourself of what does hitting my goal good enough look like? And for me, that was such a game changer. And so if that's one piece of advice that your listeners walk away with, then I'm thrilled. Like understand yourself, understand your brain, and understand what's going to work best for you. And it may not be what works best for everyone else.
Yes. And that benchmark of good enough, it's not perfect. And that's perfectionism is a sabotaging character.
Yes.
And it's what spirals us down. I agree. 100%. Yes.
Way too
long.
So
Steph, I know that everybody wants to get into your world and get connected with you. What's the best way to do that?
So definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I love meeting new people. Also, definitely listen to the podcast, Missed Opportunities for Good. We are on Apple. We're on Spotify. We're soon to launch a Substack. Very excited for that. And of course, loveofgoodconsulting.com.
Perfect. Awesome. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Steph, so much for being on. Thank you for coming on amongst your move and all the things. It's so amazing.
I knew I had to be here. My gut told me be on Courtney's podcast today.
I love that. Oh, I love it. And listeners, thank you so much for being a part of this episode. We're so honored to have you here. It means so much for us. On Spotify, you can drop your comments down below. And share this episode with friends, share the podcast with friends. It helps these messages spread and helps us to all link arms together, to be connected, to cheer each other on. And you're exactly where you need to be. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Wasn't that so amazing? Oh my goodness, I came away with pages of notes and intentions that I've been feeling. And what I want you to do now is one thing, okay? I want you to either sit with the feeling that you've had during this episode. I want you to look at your notes, and I want you to focus in on that one thing that you can do going forward. As human beings, we get so inspired by inspiring podcasts and speakers, and then we forget to zone in on one thing. And so I want you to focus in on that one thing that you can do moving forward. I'm going to give you just a pause because you know I like a pause, and a pause is easier to do with people. So I want you to pause and think of that one thing. Okay. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to write that one thing down, because as human beings, we always forget. I always forget too. And so I want you to write that thing down, either put it in the notes on your phone, put it on a sticky that you'll see different places. I want you to have that so you can go back to and reflect over and over again, because these episodes aren't just for you to inspire you in the moment. They're to inspire your actions going forward in the next moments, and I'm here to back you up, and I'm so grateful you're here. One thing I would love for you to do as we get these messages out more and more, the thing that can help this podcast, and it can help me out so much, is for you to go like and subscribe and share these episodes. It's so easy. It just takes a second, but it helps other people to find these episodes. It helps the podcast to get out there, and I so appreciate it. So if you